Good afternoon, everybody. It's cute outside today in Louisville, so get outside anywhere you're at, and it's sunny. Just get outside because it's just be cute. Today, we're going to detail how to create a jail support, but also how to use jail support, and learn like why it's important. We also want to name, as we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the pandemic shutdowns, just why we've been able to utilize this type of tactic to help with the bail fund. We'll talk about support services, and we also have a representative here from the National Lawyers Guild, and what they do and how that supports with jail support and protests. Jess?
Right. So jail support looks like a lot of things. If you find yourself detained by the police while participating in a demonstration, we want to make sure that you have support while you're going in. Make sure that someone knows your full government name, and then we'll work to use that along with your date of birth to track anything that's happening inside. The goal is to get folks out. So upon release, we'll check in to make sure that transportation is set up. If you're in need of food or additional support services, that we can get you connected to that, as well as legal services. And on the flip side of jail support is if you're wanting to volunteer for jail support, you can reach out to us and we can plug you into that network as well.
There's a few different roles that jail support has that we want to amplify, like we said, and each one of our folks go through that role when we have to move into jail support. A lot of those folks are the support services needs, and why that is very much important. Um, One of the major roles is around legal support and what that looks like and how to get in contact with those people. But we want to name, like, when you're planning an action, or you know that there might be a level of arrest, you need to make sure that you get in contact with someone with a legal background, preferably a lawyer. And Marina go over that in just a second. But you need to make sure that people have somewhere to send their information. Some people use paper sheets, and some people use a spreadsheet to be able to notate as many people as possible who will be a part of that action. Rebecca, do you have that ready? Anyway, because we have a lot of folks who sign up to do protests, and we want to make sure we get it over to our legal support as soon as possible, we have them sign up on a form, and we download immediately once we get everybody and the participants signed up with their needs, their legal information, as well as emergency contacts if they have a lawyer outside of whatever legal support is ready. And you download that and you send it over to the lawyer. A lot of folks use paper. That's a lot, and it needs to be trusted and kept up, and put somewhere, which is always with a lawyer, especially with people's sensitive information on it. And then it is utilized once people are released so that people can keep up with those folks. Um, are there any questions that we have, or are we ready to go into support services?
There's no questions. I'm happy to go over this form, even though I can't share my screen. Sometimes StreamYard doesn't cooperate. What we collect in our jail support form, we laid out, all the information about sort of who we are and the integrity of our data. We keep it. Our personal data is being moved for LCBF to a secure network. So all of this will ultimately be in a secure network moving forward, that we have total ownership of. And we collect things, as was mentioned before, what your government name is, as well as what your nickname is, so that we know when your friends call and they don't know your government name, we can find you. How we can get in touch with you afterwards. We need to know if you're a DACA folks, or if you're a citizen, and sort of what your immigration status is, so that we can track that in a safe manner, as well as medical concerns. and who we would contact. So if you get arrested, who are we going to be calling to tell them that you are in custody and that we are monitoring you and that we will follow up if there's other concerns. So we need to know that. And we also, if you need things upon release. So if you need cigarettes, or if you need food, or if you're going to need a ride or something like that, then if we collect that information ahead of time, then we're able to be prepared when folks come out. So those are the things that you're going to want to capture in your jail support form. And I'm going to put ours, the link for ours down across the bottom. And if folks want to fill it out or just take a look at it, they can see what it is.
Let's make sure the camera is switched onto the speaker. Next, I think we can go with Kenesha. Missy jumped off. She was going to detail us how we make sure our accomplices and co-conspirators can pull up. Kenesha, just detail you.
So I am part of the support team, and what we do is once someone is bailed out, we get in contact with them through their family or any other way that we have, and really just kind of wrap that person and whoever comes with them in support. So that could be for parents, if you have kids, we can help with things like groceries, bills. It's really, and the way I describe it to people is, I'm here to support you through this process. So whatever that looks like, because it looks different for every situation, but whatever that looks like and whatever you need, that's what I'm here to support you for. We do create a support plan, and a lot of times we can address things like mental health issues or whatever the situation was that resulted in you going to jail. The number one priority is to provide that support so you don't go back into that system, and so that we can make sure that we're all moving forward away from the jail system.
Okay, Missy and the rest of support services, please.
So my name is Missy, and my role within LCBF and jail support is organizing the folks who roll up, who sit outside jail and wait for you to walk out, and to make sure that when someone walks out of the jail, they have what they need as far as something to eat, something to drink, a phone charger, just some support and someone to talk to. So that's my role, to make sure that there are people waiting for either protesters or whoever we bail out, waiting outside the jail for you. The way we do that is a sign-up sheet, and every, like Chanel said, a co-conspirator signs up for a 2-hour shift, and there is guidance along the way on what you need to do. And if you are interested in volunteering, there is training and guidance available for you every step.
Shelton.
Hey, this is Shelton McElroy, he, him. I want to, just build on a lot of my colleagues and allies here, and just really express that the person that is protesting, that happens to get detained and incarcerated, um, please, I can't express enough how significant it is for them to be proactive and, reach out to us as well. So, oftentimes get our bail support number on your body, get it on your arm, get it on your hand, get it somewhere where it won't wash off. and call that number as soon as you get access to a phone. I think that's a real significant entry place to making sure that you're connected with us. Oftentimes, people at protests sometimes show up because somebody told them to show up and they haven't really gotten to register themselves. So when you get there, make sure you put our Dell support number on your body. And one of the things, when you call that line is manned 24 hours a day, and I'll say womaned and manned 24 hours a day. And that's a line that you'll be able to express all the conditions in which you were arrested. We want to get those conditions immediately. We know that the police are being brutal. We know they're being violent. We know they're being destructive. We want to record that, and we want to have that document as we continue to push for systemic eradication and abolition of the police. So as soon as you can, make that phone call to us. Detail as best as possible the nature of the experience. We understand that there's a lot of trauma with that. We make sure that we have a group of mental health professionals that we can make bridge connections to as well, so that if you are traumatized, which most people are, if you spend even a short period in jail, there's a strong high likelihood that you'll be traumatized, and we want to support you with that. We also want to be ongoing, right? We don't want or have an expectation that anything's going to be resolved ASAP, that just getting you out is not enough. That's not what we're here for. We want to get you out because of a couple of reasons, right? One, we want to abolish cruelty and human caging across the board. Secondly, we want to get you out. We don't want you exposed to coronavirus and its deadly pandemic that's inside of jails, burning like a fire. Thirdly, we want to get you out because we want to demonstrate to the entire system not only is pretrial incarceration, unacceptable, untenable, and unconscionable for protesting what we believe is a scourge on humanity, to have police shoot, kill, and destroy Black bodies day in and day out. But we also want to demonstrate that there is no need for pretrial incarceration across the board. Pretrial incarceration is this thing that allows rich, wealthy, sometimes guilty, wealthy, rich people to just walk out of jail because they have a check that they can write. And poor, innocent Black people, brown people, poor white people sit in jail and languish and have to ransom their freedom. So we're here for you. But I also just can't express how necessary it is. If you're going to protest, if you're going to demonstrate, if you're going to stand up for others, if you're going to be on the firing line, please be proactive. Take our number down. I'll let Jess give you the number, the hotline number. Put that number in your phone. Put that number on your body. As we round the corner to a year of action all across the entire globe, be prepared for powerful demonstrations, powerful actions, and powerful protests. And be prepared by having our number, maintaining that number. And if you're in other cities, make sure you get your Black Lives Matter chapter number on your body. Hell, I would show you, but I got it tattooed on me. So, Jess, you want to tell them the number and also just what it looks like when we do wrap those supports around, like maybe an example of somebody who we're still supporting.
Sure. So the number to the hotline is 502-509-2357. Right now, one of the people that we are working with is a young pregnant mom. We set her up with some food delivery services in her new apartment, and she is just preparing to move forward with her support plan and get ready for other appointments that she has coming up. So we make a difference. We listen to what it is that our community members need, and we do our best to get it to them with dignity.
Awesome. Is Maureen on here? Her phone keep going out.
Yes, she just dropped off, but she just jumped in. So give me just a moment to get her on.
Yay. Okay, yay. Like I said, we're joined here by one of our representatives from the National Lawyers Guild with Kentucky. And we just went through some very like preliminary reasons and then like emphasizing why it's very much important to have a jail support. And Maureen is going to go over the typical steps to take when you're planning an action and how to contact them.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am a lawyer with the National Lawyers Guild. We are an organization that has existed since the 1930s in response to the overwhelmingly white, male, exclusive existence of the American Bar Association. Our mission is to use law for the people. We unite lawyers, law students, legal workers, and jailhouse lawyers to function as an effective force in the service of the people by valuing human rights and the rights of ecosystems over property interests. That's the actual mission statement. Now, first of all, I represent on occasion legal observers, and there may be legal observers in the street at the same time as an action. Ordinarily, an NLG lawyer in our context here in Louisville does not just automatically represent a protester who gets picked up. How I support jail services and how NLG attorneys support jail support services is this. First of all, we use our licenses and basically our privilege to help track people through the system. A lot of what happens when there's an action on the ground, when I'm involved, is me sitting by a phone with a laptop as we get names of people who are going in the system to track them, help track them through the system, get a hold of things like jail records. Jail records in our jurisdiction are notorious in not being cooperative unless there is a lawyer on the other side of the line. But that's not always the case. I shouldn't generalize. But at any rate, helping with that, getting into the court records, CourtNet in state law, or PACER if the person is actually picked up by the feds, and seeing where the person is in the system. A big part of our ability to do that without lawyers went away in the middle of last summer when Jefferson County decided to take X jail, which is simply a list of the population of who is, who's been booked into the system in corrections, was taken offline to the public. It made it more important than ever that we have somebody with a CourtNet password.
I totally forgot that other Nissan was at the farm.
Beg pardon? Okay. At any rate, we track the system.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
We've been having that one for a minute.
Okay. And we deal with unforeseen complications, such as people who got picked up who have prior charges, people who got picked up who are having a hard time with pretrial services when because they don't have a reference. Okay, let's go back to what needs to be on a form if you're planning an action or you're a person who's planning to go to an action and there is any possibility whatsoever that you might get locked up. Be sure to have legal name, address, preferably the address where that's on your driver's license or state ID, someone who knows where you are, someone who can answer the phone. If you are locked up, one of the things that happens is you go through pretrial services. They interview you and fill in boxes on a risk matrix so that a judge can make a determination as to whether you are a flight risk. if they let you out without you posting bond. This is very important because part of it involves them calling the check and make sure you are who you say you are. And so you need to have somebody listed as a person who can be contacted on your jail support form, who can also be contacted by the government in the form of a pretrial services uh, officer, which is not a uniformed officer, who that person can say, yes, Maureen lives at X place. I've known her for 5 years. She is a lawyer, and I can vouch for all of those things that she just told you. So you need to think about that when you're constructing a form. Not only the next of kin if you pass away, God forbid, or but the person who can actually answer the phone when you're locked up. What happens when you get locked up is you sit for a while in a cage, and then you eventually get interviewed by a pretrial officer. Pretrial officer gets all that information from you, and once they get a batch of people, they make phone calls to confirm the information. They complete the risk matrix that they have to present to a judge, and then the whole thing, the uniform citation that was filled out saying what you allegedly did, the matrix, the contact information gets put under the nose of a judge or sent or called into a judge, who then makes a decision whether you're getting out without a bond being placed against you administratively, or whether you are going to have to sign for an unsecured bond, or whether somebody's going to have to put up money on your behalf. We can track that as attorneys through the system, partly because that's, with a lot of NLG attorneys, that's what they do every day. This is something I do on the regular. Once we have all that information, we hand it back to the jail support hotline, who can push information out to your next of kin to support you and them as you go through the process, and make sure that there'll be somebody waiting for you when you get out, or if you don't get out, that there will be a lawyer on deck to arraign you should you have to go to arraignment the next morning. Now, if you end up getting kept and bond is not posted, you will go to arraignment, where a judge basically says, do you waive formal reading of the charges, enter a plea of not guilty, and then they make another decision on whether to hold you for bond. The public defender's office has someone in custody arraignments every day. That is a regular gig. There are also private attorneys that go if they know they have somebody there. The goal of good jail support should be to have somebody there specifically for protesters, not because the public defenders are bad. They're, generally speaking, very good, but they have a huge load already. And if there has been an action the night before about which they may not know much, they are not in a position to best represent somebody at arraignment, that an NLG or other volunteer attorney may be, who has all of their information at their fingertips that was gathered ahead of time to address where they're going to be, where they work, how much of a flight risk they are, what kind of danger they may be assessed to be to the community, to be able to counteract that then and there. We do other services, such as helping put together groups of volunteer attorneys who provide services to protesters. We also have legal observers who go into the street at the request of organizers. We don't just go, who are trained observers. They may be law students, they may be lawyers, generally lawyers who don't represent protesters, because they may end up becoming witnesses. And what they do is take notes so that they can potentially bear witness to what happens on the ground at an action. Part of my job is that I am the on-call attorney for people in the street during those functions of NLG.
Thank you, Maureen. Is there a way, if there are protesters that were arrested protesting but don't have an attorney, is there a way that they could get a hold of the NLG, or would you have them call us and we would send it along to you?
We would, generally speaking, we go through the hotline, because if you go through NLG, a lot of NLG attorneys are not criminal defense attorneys. We would suggest that you go through the hotline. And part of every robust jail support should be a group of volunteer attorneys, so you know ahead of time who you've got potentially on deck, and we can help with building those too.
Thank you. And our LCBF hotline is running across the bottom, so if you are a protester out there who needs an attorney, let us know and we'll get you connected with Maureen and the other wonderful lawyers. Does anyone else have any questions they thought Maureen might be able to help us answer?
Yeah.
No? All right. Well, thank you so much, Maureen. And, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And I think that will about bring us to we wanted to, anybody else had anything they wanted to toss out there about maybe why we've had to use jail support this since last May, this uprising. The police gotten very heavy-handed and charges have been pretty heavy-handed, and there have been lots of arrests. So jail support, as we mentioned earlier, has been a lot more prominent. It's needed more more labor to go behind it as we do the long term. We just had a string of court dates this past week for the bridge hearing on the 2nd Street Bridge back in June, and all that is even pushed over, so it probably will be a while before they land in a courtroom even to get their things taken care of. So these things are ongoing. They're need to be a need resources for those. Those will be, we'll connect. And anything else anybody wanted to put out there?
Rebecca, I'd just like to add that as it warms up and as we do approach some pretty monumental milestones and anniversaries, that we do anticipate that we're going to need more volunteers. We're going to need volunteers, like we said, to sit outside, to support the protesters as they walk out. And we do anticipate that this summer could look a lot like last. So really, if you would like to volunteer, please reach out to the link that is scrolling across the bottom of your screen. We would love to plug you in.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.